Most people don't become leaders because they crave authority. They become leaders because they care. They care about people. They care about doing things well. They care about creating environments where others succeed. And they typically see things and opportunities that other people can't. But there's something I see happen over and over with high-performing leaders. The very thing that made them a good leader in the first place, their care for people, slowly starts getting in the way of their leadership. Welcome to A Leader's Purpose podcast. My name is Tammy and I'm your host. I'm an international speaker. I'm an executive leadership strategist and advisor. And this podcast is for leaders who care deeply about the people they lead and the impact that they make. Because leadership isn't just about strategy or execution. It's about understanding who you are as a leader, why you lead the way you do, and how your identity shapes every decision you make. Each week, we'll look at patterns leaders often miss and the shifts that create clarity, alignment, and stronger leadership. And by the way, if this leadership starts resonating with you, I've created something specially for you and leaders in this situation. So I have a short private audio briefing, it's a mouthful, called The Invisible Weight, Why Leadership Feels Harder Than It Should. It's for senior leaders who are excellent at what they do, but find themselves carrying the kind of pressure that it's hard to explain. So if you've ever thought, why does leadership feel so heavy? Or why is it heavier than it used to? This briefing will help you understand why. You can find the link in the show notes. But you're a good leader. Honestly, you would not be listening to podcasts like this if you weren't. You want to lead well, and you want to be the leader that you imagined. Because when you care deeply about people, something subtle starts happening. You soften conversations that should be direct. You explain decisions longer than you should, and you try to manage everyone's emotions before you lead them. You try to even come to an understanding of how everyone on your team is going to react to situations. You want people to feel good about the decision before the decision is actually made. And from the outside, it looks collaborative. But underneath it, something else is happening. Many high-performing leaders start protecting an identity that made them successful earlier in their career. Maybe they were the collaborative one, the one that pulls the team together, the supportive one who supports everyone who came before them and became the fixer. Or maybe you're the person everyone liked working with. And those identities worked beautifully when you're rising into leadership. But as your responsibility grows, leadership requires something different. I went through this shift multiple times in my career, sometimes in the same month, really. But one example I was thinking about is when I was shifting from someone who worked on a project to becoming the project and the importance of not saying yes to everything. I had to stop a belief that I had that if I was going to be seen as competent and good at what I do, I had to make everything the client wanted possible. I had to make sure it included everything. I had to make sure that if any wild idea they came with during the project management and execution portion, that I put it in the project. And to say that it almost destroyed me, it was so frustrating. I realized that I couldn't be I was protecting being the person everyone liked working with. I was protecting being the one who seemed to be capable, when really I needed to tell the client, this will work because, and we're already too far into that. I needed to step into this new role to be successful. The very thing I was protecting was what was holding me back. And let me say this again. As your responsibility grows, leadership requires something different. Not less care, but clearer authority. And when that shift hasn't fully happened yet, leaders start compensating. And this is where we might see that you start to over-explain decisions, where you start to soften hard conversations or tell different people different things because you know they'll hear it different, or it'll land different, or one person is more emotional and one person wants it more direct. You try to get everyone emotionally aligned before setting the direction, or you manage feelings instead of leading people. And they usually think that they have a communication problem. Leaders typically will blame the communication or the team dynamics. But what I'm often seeing is an identity friction. And this is something that's worth noticing. If you find yourself explaining decisions more than owning them, if you're softening conversations that need clarity, if you're trying to manage everyone's emotion before setting direction, you may not have a communication issue at all. You may simply be adjusting to a new leadership level. And good leaders care about people. Great leaders care about people. That should never, ever change. But leadership isn't about protecting people from reality. And I've talked to many leaders who talk about this. Like, Tammy, I am just tired of managing all the emotion and the drama. I just need results. So it's not about protecting people from reality. It's about caring enough to lead them clearly. And sometimes the most respectful thing you could do for your team is stop managing emotions and start leading. And if this episode made you pause for a moment and think, that's exactly what's been happening, I want to invite you to listen to the short private audio briefing I created. I talked about it earlier, The Invisible Weight, Why Leadership Feels Heavier Than It Should. It's designed for senior leaders who are capable, who are respected, who are doing meaningful work, but quietly carrying pressure that they can't fully explain. And so in this audio briefing, I walk you through what's actually happening beneath the surface and why so many high-performing leaders start to feel this invisible weight. So you'll find the link in the show notes. And if nothing else, it may help you name something you've been feeling for a long time. All right, friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you start to see that some of these things that we carry, that there's something underneath it. You're not carrying it alone. You're not alone in the way you feel. A lot of leaders today are feeling this. And the thing is no one's talking about it. They're talking about leadership development and getting training and the insight that comes from personality assessments, but we're not really talking about the weight underneath it, what's the source is, and this leveling up we need to do as a leader. That our operating system is running an old version of leadership that got us to where we are, but was never meant to take us where we want to go. It was never meant to carry this gravity, there we go, right word, gravity of leadership and caring. And so if this is resonating with you, check out the Invisible Weight private podcast. And if it's really resonating you're like, Tammy, let's figure out what my invisible weight is, get in touch with me. On LinkedIn, it's at Tammy Imlay, and Tammy at TammyMarieCoaching.com. I look forward to talking with you. All right, choose joy until joy chooses you, my friend. See you next week. Bye for now.